welcome. Essentially, I wanted to fill you in about my week. It was like any other, basically. Just going to the gym, trying to do some sort of work, and also just spending time with my friends whilst exploring everything that I can. But within this week, me and my friends decided to make a pretty big decision, and I'm actually pretty excited for it. However, you're only gonna find out about this later on, so you're just gonna have to subscribe and just stay tuned. But essentially it's a component of growing up. It's a component of actually becoming an adult, because currently I'm in my 20s, and these are meant to be the years that you actually use to figure things out. However, I'm still figuring how to figure things out, and that's kind of the tricky part about being in this position right now. But I understand that we all have our own respective timelines, but how do you actually do all of that? And honestly, the only way is to experience it, to either be mentored or just have to go through it. And that's why today I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go to the park, and you're gonna come with me. I feel like we don't place enough effort towards gratitude, and that we typically kind of get placed into an ever-consuming cycle of just taking things for granted and constantly wanting more. However, there's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with wanting more out of life, but possibly just in the manner that we go about it and getting more out of our days. Because there's this idea of you versus you, which has been actually popularized by a lot of people, and also just self-improvement initially. That this idea of you versus yourself instead of those who surround you is a better way of comparison, or a better way of actually dictating progress. And that's kind of right, depending on how you choose to implement it. One version is you taking a hard look at yourself and seeing who you once were in comparison to now. If maybe your ideas, opinions, or even the way that you think, all of that changes over time, and that's completely normal, and it's actually what's meant to happen. But once you accept that, you can finally be at peace. That's what's meant to happen. That's what naturally happens. However, our mind kind of plays a funny trick on us. It's not funny, it's kind of bad, where it just makes it seem as if we're all achieving and we possess no flaws. But we actually just fail to acknowledge our limitations and be at peace with them. And when it comes to the limitations, it's not to say that it's something that you can actually work on or progress and just be a little bit better on. However, it just blurs the lines between what is fact and what is fiction within of what we're actually capable of doing in a certain period of time. A normal or controlled environment, that's where your mind kind of plays a little trick on you. Because, for instance, I have no desire to win any sort of game show, like, for instance, Wipeout. You guys know what challenge or what part of the whole obstacle course I'm talking about, like this one right here. But basically what I'm talking about is, I feel like I can do it. However, I have no desire, but my brain is telling me that I can do it. And maybe it's a little more difficult than I actually think. It probably is, and instead of seeing the phrase as you versus you, it's actually a lot more comparative than progressive. And comparison is the thief of joy. However, it's not to say that the areas that maybe you potentially fell short in are a defining moment of your character, or maybe what you're worth. But should rather be seen than a point of reflection. Should be seen as, you know what, be more aware. Be aware of what you're capable of and seek the opportunities on where you can improve. Because the constant feeling of not being enough or doing enough is never going to stop until you change your perspective about how you view life or how you approach it. Because changing a few words within that sentence makes the difference. You should be asking yourself, how can I be more? how can you be more, and also in doing so, how can you be more for yourself? Be more for yourself first. And once you achieve that, that's when you can be more for those that you care about the most, because it's you and you. And you should be living life to your highest potential, and that should be a good thing. That should be a fun thing. That should be something that you actually want to do, and not something that is stressful, something that makes you feel tired or drained or leaves you sleepless through the night. This should be a continuous process that motivates you to, you know what, I want to strive for more and be more as a person. Do more with my days, with my time while I'm still here. That should be your driving force. The fear of actually being average, that should be what motivates you. And you've changed a lot. We all have. However, to implement real progress or real improvement, it has to be done continuously and consistently, long enough that it becomes second nature, that it becomes a habit, something that you do without thinking. Once you achieve that level of consciousness, that, you know what, you just automatic. Because there's always going to be someone better than you. Even if you don't compare yourself to people a similar age as you or anything like that, you versus you is just a comparison of your previous self to where you are right now. And the stuff that maybe you tried to achieve or tried to work towards, maybe you can do it now. And if you can't, you're a little bit closer to actually being capable right now. And honestly, that's a lot better than where you started. And that's something that should be appreciated, but also recognized. However, our mind plays this trick where it glorifies things and makes them a lot shinier than they actually are. So this version of yourself in your mind, honestly, it's all achieving. It's always going to be better than what you have now. And once you achieve the things, potentially once you achieve those things that you envisioned or maybe you dreamt about in the future, you're going to want more. This is an ever-going cycle until you learn to show appreciation, until you're there actually recognizing how far you've come, recognizing the progress that you've made so far. And honestly, you should be proud of yourself. Realize that you're exactly where you're meant to be. And that's a good thing.